What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I have my post BANLIST Altergeist deck profile. Yes, you heard me right. Multi-Faker is now at 1. It kind of sucks, and I think the only reason they did it was to sell the All Mirages, if I'm being completely honest with you. Otherwise, clearly they haven't sold it to me because I'm using proxies. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, so, yeah, I think the only reason they hit it was to sell the All Mirages, if I'm being completely honest with you, because this deck in the meta wasn't doing too much, unfortunately. So then I'm like, why did they hit this? And I guess the other argument was if they didn't hit it, it would be meta again. But I'm like, I don't see it that way because I don't think Konami would do something like that. They haven't done that before. Clearly, like, we've had Pendulum format twice, and potentially this could be our third pendulum format, so like who wants that, right? So if Konami was preemptively hitting stuff, I think they would have hit pendulum and stuff as well. Otherwise, this was just to sell Almarge in my opinion. But all negativity aside, this deck is still playable. I still enjoy playing this deck, and I'm going to show you guys what I have come up with, and this is very fun. I've been playtesting this and it's still very consistent. You can still get to Multi-Faker pretty easily. The combos are pretty much the same, nothing else changes. So yeah, we'll get right into it. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe to the channel. And with that, guys, let's get into it. So you are playing one Altergeist Multi-Faker. Of course, it's at 1, but you still gotta play the one you cannot play with. This is the heart and soul of the deck. This is the card that made the deck good, right? Triple Marionetter, as well as triple Milaseek. This is essentially your Multi-Faker Searcher. You still need to play 3 of it, obviously. They're all really good cards. This also outs a lot of floodgates and whatnot, so this is why this card is really good. Double Silquidus. Silquidus is obviously really good. It's your bounce, it's your disruption, but I decided to up the count of Concrete to 2 now instead of playing it at 1. The reason for this is because I think you need to be a little more defensive now with this deck. You need to be able to stop your opponent from beating you quickly so that you can slow down the game. And essentially, it gives you another Altergeist monster in the deck because obviously you lost 2 of the Multi-Fakers. So you need to draw some kind of Altergeist monsters. So that's why I decided to put Concrete up to 2. And then I'll show you guys later, I decided to up the trap count for the Altergeist, and I'll explain that when I get there. But the reason I decided to do that was because I could get Conqueree out on the field more often and a lot easier. That's why I upped Conqueree up to 2. Then you are playing for the last monster, Triple Sangan. Now, the reason you're playing Triple Sangan is because I think it's pretty obvious. You have to normal summon this, go into your Al Mirage, and then search your Multi-Faker. That's the only other way to get to Multi-Faker now. Now that you only have 1, it kind of sucks and you have to do that. Now, if you do get to Multi-Faker early, this can technically search any card in your deck other than Marionetter. So that's why you still do want to play 3 of this. So other than Marionetter, they can search any card in your deck, and then it can, like, you know, it gets you to another card. So that's never a bad thing. Free, just, you know, 1 card Multi-Faker, and then you can like set 4. Essentially, what you're hoping for is seeing this, hoping like to see like 3 or 4 back row, and then making this into All Mirage. Once you make All Mirage, you get your Multi-Faker. Once you get your Multi-Faker, you're pretty much set from there. You have 3 set and a Multi-Faker, really strong board. So that's why I decided to play Triple Sangan. I think it's a new way to play the deck. So for spell count, you're literally only playing 5 spells. You're playing triple Pot of Extravagance and double Pot of Duality. This is the only thing you're playing for draw power. Extravagance, obviously, a Pot of Greed, draw 2. And then the reason you play Duality is because it doesn't conflict with Extravagance. It doesn't actually draw you a card. It reveals 3 and you add a card to your hand. So that's why Duality and Extravagance work really, really well together. I didn't want to up Duality to 3 because if you see double Duality, it's absolutely dead and it kind of sucks. So you never want to put Duality to 3, but 3 and 2, perfect ratios in my opinion, gets you to your cards as soon as possible. So going on to the traps, which is pretty much the bulk of the deck, as you guys can see. This is a 40 card deck, by the way, so I think the traps are like 22 traps, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but a lot of traps. Triple Personal Spoofing. Before the ban list, I know some people are cutting this to 2, but now I think you need it at 3. And then also playing double Conqueree. This is pretty good because you can always shuffle your Conquerees back in. Triple Altergeist Protocol. This is important to play 3 of. I've been an advocate of playing 3 of this for a while now. It's something that stops your monsters from being negated, and that's actually super, super important. It also is a pseudo Solemn Strike, so it can come up there. And it's also another Altergeist name, which makes your Conqueree live, which is why I decided to up the count to 3. But then I'm also playing double Manifestation. Now, Manifestation kind of sucks because drawing it turn 1, it doesn't do too much for you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The only way that it does anything for you turn 1 is if you Milaseek into like a Link Karibo, and then this will get you your Milaseek back. Essentially, that's the only other way it does that. But you still need to play 2 in my opinion because you need to recur your Multi-Faker as much as you can. So if your Multi-Faker goes to the graveyard, you need some way of getting it back without using like a Marionette or whatever. So this is another way to do that. And then it gives you another Altergeist card name, like I said, for Conqueror. So that's why I decided to play this Altergeist like trap card lineup, and I think it's really, really good. For the other traps, you are playing triple infinite impermanence. The impermanence into multi-faker turn 0 plays are insanely broken, and unfortunately you can't do it as often now. But when you do, it's still obviously really, really good. Double Lost Wind. I think Lost Wind is really good in this deck only because you have trouble outing big monsters. And so what Lost Wind lets you do is Lost Wind lets you actually out those because you're doing it, obviously, monster negation is obviously really good. Also, it can set itself from the graveyard, which is also really good. But it's just the fact that it halves your opponent's monsters attack is actually really, I guess, important as well, because you can get over your opponent's monsters. Also, they probably won't OTK you under Lost Wind, so that's why I think this card is insanely good. And then a bunch of negates. So Double Dark Bribe, I'm playing the newly Triple Solemn Judgment. You still need to play Triple Solemn Judgment. I think it's the best card right now, like especially for trap decks. Stops anything. It's always live. Very good card. I'm playing Double Strike and the One Warning. So as you guys can play, full Solemn package. I'm not playing a Triple Strike. I'm only playing Double Strike because Strike isn't always live. Warning isn't even always live. But I still did want to play them because there's going to be times where if your opponent Pendulum summons, like for example, 5, and you have a Strike and a Judgment set, like you wouldn't want a Judgment, especially in the early game. You'd rather Strike in the early game and then save your Judgments for later, which is why I like to play this lineup. Judgments are really good for when you're low in life points because then they're always live, whereas these are not as good in the late game because in the late game when you don't have that much life points to spare, these are kind of killing you, whereas this is always live. But that's it for the trap cards. As you guys see, most of these trap cards are negates, monster negates, because you don't want your opponent to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Essentially in this deck. You can't really play floodgates in this deck because the floodgates right now, like the good floodgates right now, are really bad in this deck. Like something that like there can only be one kills this deck, so you can't even play that. So that's why I'm just playing a bunch of monster negation, a bunch of counter traps, and your opponent can't like really respond to any of these, right? So that's why these are really good in the deck. For the extra deck, we are playing Extravagance, so that means triple Salamangreat Almirage. The most important card now, I think it is the most important card. This and Linkuriboh, just because you need to get your Miloseek and you need to get your Sangans to get to your Multi-Faker as fast as possible. So Almirage, never want to lose this, gotta play 3. Gotta play 3 Hexias as well. This is your best monster that you actually want to go into later in the game. Hexia is obviously one of the better cards in the deck. Triple Linkuriboh, like I said, literally these are 3 just the most important cards. The cards you basically go into every game, which is why you need to play 3 of these because you can't afford to lose these cards. I play 1 Clara and Lushka still. Just in case I banish these like somehow, some way, I still play the 1 Clara and Rushka because you can use this as well. Double Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Boral Sword, and 1 Boral Load. Just, you know, utility cards here. But essentially the only cards that really matter are these 9 right here. These cards are kind of like, oh, they're good. You don't go into them. You can afford banishing them. It's not so super bad. But you still got to play these just because, you know, utility is always good. And then obviously the solid 9 that you need. So for your side deck, I'm showing you guys a side deck here. You guys are playing triple Inspect Border. Now, Inspector Border obviously kills your deck in a sense, but being able to just normal summon Inspect Border against a Thunder Dragon Danger player, they kind of just lose. So if they auto lose, then, you know, like, it's still worth playing this card. Like, this card plus Foresight is still amazing, so that's why you still got to play this card. Even though it locks you out, it locks them out more because you're going to have this card and you're going to have the advantage. So that's why this card is really important. Triple Typhoon, because it technically can count as a hand trap. Going second against something like Pendulum is insanely good. Even against like Orcus, it's still viable. Like you can hit the Babbles. Typhoon is really good in that sense. And it again, it's a trap that you can activate from your hand. And if you can activate from your hand, makes all the better because now you can multi-faker turn 0 technically, right? If your opponent sets up scales. So let's say your opponent makes Electromite, sets up scales. You can Typhoon on your opponent's turn, and then this is essentially another way to do the imperm kind of like multi-figure play. That's why triple Typhoon. Same thing with Evenly. Going second, it's really good. You still gotta play it. You still gotta out your opponent's boards. Then for going first, I'm playing triple Heavy Storm Duster. Obviously, really good card. You know, going first, you can set this against something like Pendulum. Can't lose. If they can't make scales, they can't win, right? So Heavy Storm Duster is insanely good. And then also against something like True Draco, this card is insanely good as well. You usually never want to hit the back row, but if you know they have a bunch of traps set, you can pop it before you have monsters on the field, and then they'll get nothing out of their traps, or you hit their diagram, something like that. Heavy Storm Duster is really good. And then triple Summon Limit. This is mostly for combo decks, something like Thunder Dragon going first, Summon Limit auto wins, something like Orcus going first, some of them auto win. So that's why I'm playing this. So these are going first cards. These are going technically second cards other than Inspector Border. And that's it for the side deck. If you guys have any changes you guys can make, obviously let me know. But this is what I like right now for this format. So that's it for the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know if there's any changes you guys would make. And if you guys still enjoy this deck, obviously I still enjoy it. I still find it very fun. With that, guys, it's Spanko signing out.
My
Peace.
hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this, cross my shit.